There was this one that came through today, and it was horrific what they talked about, something that's happened in the world that completely overwhelmed my senses, and it happened this morning, so it's still really fresh. Of course, my system just flooded with fear. Hi friends, welcome to Empathic Wellbeing. My name is Erin and I'm here to help you as a sensitive soul thrive in life. Something happened today. I was actually looking at a newsletter that I get emailed to my inbox, and I'm pretty particular about the kind of news that I watch, and you might be too. You might find that to be absorbing news through the television or even through newspapers and seeing imagery can be too much for you. I certainly noticed that, and it was only sort of recently, probably in the last 10 years, that I actually made a choice that I don't watch the news. And it was really a big decision. Sounds silly, but it was a really big decision, and people judge you for it. Like my parents were like, well, how do you know what stuff's going on? And I had to get really clear that it was okay for me to make that choice for myself and my own well-being, however, when I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago, I discovered that we had a new Prime Minister in Australia, and I actually didn't know. Made me realise, okay, so I do need to figure out, or I would like to, I don't need to, some people don't follow politics. However, for me, I would have liked to have known that. So I realised that I wanted to find a way where I could gather or find out some of the news so that I was kept informed, but not all of the news, so that I was traumatised every time I looked at a news article. There was this one that came through today, and it was horrific what they talked about, something that's happened in the world that completely overwhelmed my senses, and it happened this morning, so it's still really fresh. But I wanted to do this video now so that you can get a sense from me in this really raw moment, because it just happened a few hours ago. It was around 11 o'clock during the day. I was actually studying, and then I just had a break and I saw this newsletter come through. I'm like, oh, cool, and clicked on it. And it was just, I couldn't stop myself reading it. And I really wish I have, because I really didn't need to know all of the detail. And you know what I would really love? I would really love an online newspaper to have a little switch that says, HSPs, click here. And then it just filters out all the horrible imagery and has just some facts about pertinent news. Anyway, of course, my system just flooded with fear, and fear for my safety, fear for the world, fear for my children, just horrible feelings. What is the point? There's some evil people out there. I can't do this anymore. I can't handle knowing that this stuff is happening, yet I also want to know this stuff is happening so I can fight it. But I'm also sensitive, and so I can't really fight it. It was like that whole big mess of all of those different kinds of feelings and emotions, and it was full on. And I just kept telling myself, you're okay, Erin. You're okay, Erin. You are safe. And then I tapped. So EFT tapping is one of the tools in my wellbeing toolbox. And it's, you know what? I don't even know if it's backed by science. I should check it out. I'll do some research for you and find out. But it's certainly getting a lot more airplay than it did even just 5 years ago. And I just kept doing the tapping. I just kept doing the tapping and telling myself, even though I saw those horrible things and I read that about that horrible story, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And I just kept going over and over and over again. And I walked around the house because sometimes, I don't know about you, but for me, I need to move my body and work. And I noticed while my mind was doing this, and my body with all of its emotions was just, quite chaotic, I put some dishes in the dishwasher, and then I walked to this window, and then I walked to that window, and I was just, moving constantly, and then and doing the tapping and speaking out loud. And then I had calmed enough, my nervous system had calmed enough that I sat down back at my desk to study, but it was just still, this still imagery was there, still there. And I looked up, how do I manage horrible or terrible news as a highly sensitive person? And psychologytoday.com came up, and then another psychologist came up. And I'll share those links because they're really helpful. Actually, I might even do a video of what they talked about. Some of it I resonated with, particularly the psychologist. She was on point. The Psychology Today, there was a couple of points there that I didn't really click with. But I did feel better after seeing that there was actually articles there, because it's like, oh, it's not just me. And one of them was self-care, like taking yourself off for a bath or whatever. But you know what? I don't want to go have a bath because then my mind will go off. Like, I just disagree with that. I can't relax with all of this mind spinning around, trying to get rid of these images, and I can't go and relax because then they'll just ruminate. Do you experience that as well? So I knew that wasn't going to help. So what did I do? YouTube. Put on YouTube, and I watched some. What did I watch? Something cute. I think it was something about Animal Crossing. Just something so random. And then I watched a couple more videos, and I was just lying there completely couched, and probably for about an hour, and then I got some lunch, made a cup of tea, and so what time is it now? Let me just check. It's 2:30. Okay, so it probably took 2 to 3 hours to settle myself and settle my nervous system. And I'm back into that, my beautiful positive mindset of the world is mostly a beautiful place. One of the things I did tell myself when I was doing the EFT tapping was that it was totally okay that I'm not the person helping, that I'm not directly supporting monetarily or whatever. What I realized was that I don't want to do that. I cannot do that in my capacity of where I'm at. When I realized that it's really a choice of my capacity of how to help, I then my brain switched into well, how can I help? I can send love. And I don't know whether you believe in this or energies and all living things being connected, but that is my belief, and you might think about it as prayers, but for me it is sending love out there, and that is how I can help the world. That is how I can help just the one person on YouTube that's watching me right now make a decision or a choice that will help them thrive in their life and accept themselves for how beautiful they are, just the way they are, and live a beautiful, much more thriving life as a sensitive soul. So that was a beautiful self-acceptance that I was able to do. Also another tool in my toolbox. Anyway, I hope that helped. Just at least validate you that it's okay that you don't watch the news, and to make choices around how you do consume the news. If you've got any ideas or other techniques that you use, please comment below and let me know. I'm always up for learning. I don't know everything, so I would love to learn if you've got some tips as well. And if there's any of you that are up for creating a online sort of news place that is particularly there for sensitive souls, especially considering like there's 20 to 25% of us of the world's population are, like us. I reckon it could be really useful. So if you're aware of something like that, or you want to create something like that, let me know below too. All right, have a beautiful day. Bye.